Microphone masters. J-Luv here with an artist that I feel ashamed because I just recently found her and got put up on her, but I guess it's better late than never. The one and only Lyric Jones. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. In terms of doing some research about you, I definitely want to get into your career and kind of where you are now. But you have a new project that just dropped. I happen to be, this is, I guess, the wonders of the algorithm going through, and I happened to find a song, find your new project, and then I listened to a few songs, and I said, okay, I got to get one of these songs up on the show.
Nice. Love
Talk
it.
talk about your journey in terms of perseverance, because I know you started really releasing projects, I want to say around 2012, if what I saw is correct. Your journey to get you from there to here, I would imagine perseverance has to be the key in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, Perseverance is my middle name for sure. And every time I think about it, I don't really know where I get the strength from sometimes because, just pushing through in this game, especially as a woman and in hip hop in general, can be like an abusive relationship.
Right.
Especially shit you don't have to deal with. So yeah, it really is a true testament of loving it and loving what you do because you realize that you're just doing or trying to find resources to do what you enjoy. And that turns into different milestones and different things. So yeah, I started in 2012. I've been really kind of putting out music, I would say, since 2007, 2008.
Hmm.
But as far that's like, on MySpace or what have you.
Right.
But my first debut project was my Jones Street album in 2012. And, that kind of kicked the door in with a lot of people kind of hearing who I am and doing festivals and putting together shows. I really got my foot into that, like curating and putting shows together. And I moved to LA from Atlanta after the first album.
Now, I saw that you, again, we have Lyric Jones here on Microphone Masters. I saw that you are an educator. Are you still in that capacity? I know, of course, music is a part of your life, even as an educator, but are you still doing that?
Yes, I actually, I'm new to it, but I teach rap techniques and some artist development and songwriting classes at Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California.
Cool.
So I'm kind of the only face of hip hop there,
Okay. Okay.
other than the DJ department. And that's been interesting because they're primarily like a rock based school. So really trying to, not only be a woman, but kind of force through the importance of hip hop, especially today at a music school. It kind of surprises me that it's not the forefront, considering the charts and
Right.
looking at the charts. So I've been, getting my feet wet with learning different ways to teach and where to pull material from. And now it's been about 2 years. So I'm still doing that. It's hard now because of COVID, but we're finding ways of me trying to teach it online and Zoom and things like that.
No, that's I did a little bit of I do a little MCing, and so some of the stuff I'm going to ask is maybe because of my super minor infinitesimal percent of going through some things, and then I also was a substitute teacher for about 18 months while I was going for my MBA. So
Okay.
I learned a lot of patience by
Mm.
you in terms of being a substitute teacher. They didn't take advantage of me, thankfully, but you learn a lot when you're trying to educate, trying to convey. Did you find that has helped at all with when you're putting songs together? Did it help with song structure? Not only what you see, what you hear in what you feel in the music, but to really be able to convey that in with music that you put out since you've started teaching.
No, I wouldn't say teaching has affected me as a songwriter at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
It definitely has affected me as a communicator. And when you have a class of so many different people, especially the school that I teach, there's so many international students.
Ah,
So it's been very challenging. I mean, as rappers, what we use are our words, our language.
yes.
So as much as hip hop is a universal language, it's been very challenging and interesting in so many ways of how to communicate to some of my Chinese students or Japanese students, who really love the culture but don't understand slang or syntax of wordplay or what have you.
Right.
So it's definitely taught me the patience in that part with communicating. But as far as my natural pen and how I make music, I really separate that altogether. It's a completely different side of my brain that I'm using as a teacher versus just an artist being Lyric Jones.
Now, again, we're here with Lyric Jones here on Microphone Masters, and so the new project is called Closer Than They Appear. One of the things, I think it was a recent Vibe interview that you did, that talked about the word stagnant was used, that you at some point felt a little bit stagnant. How do you fight through that? How do you? I know you know there's. I guess it would be luck because of the way in which you continue to push forward with some of the associations that you've made, for example, with I think with Fonte, for example. But how do you push through stagnation to get to the point where maybe to fall back in love with the music, so to speak?
That's a good question, because if you were to ask my family members or my good friends from college or what have you, they wouldn't think I'm stagnant at all.
Okay.
They just been seeing, rising from the beginning. And I have to remind myself, yeah, there's been progress over the past decade, definitely. So in the grand scheme of the word stagnant, it hasn't been that, but it has been a constant, I would say, still playing in the same sandbox, so to speak. So it's not stagnant as far as accomplishments, but it's still in the same lens of the industry, whether it be, the same type of people, the same platforms. And if you're trying to elevate, there's I never got in Vibe magazine up until now, Yeah. So for 10 years, I was seeing certain peers that, I've had, whether the same experience or more or what have you, where I'm like, man, how did they get on BET Cypher, or how did they get in Vibe? And so for me, those types of things, those, I think, obvious platforms felt stagnant, especially on the performance level. But little notches and little checkbox have been made. So it was a weird dichotomy of my emotions of respecting the progress in the process, but also realizing like I have a lot of work to do, especially considering how long I've been doing this.
Right. So again, Lyric Jones here on Microphone Masters. She's a busy woman, so I appreciate her time. But so when you're talking about in terms of being an MC, I know one of the things that you again in doing some research, you don't want to be considered a female rapper. And as I'm saying that with air quotes, the female rapper and all this stuff. You got skills. You got skills vocally. You have skills as an MC. All those things. How do you, when you look at this project and again listening to an excellent project, what are your expectations for this project, and then also how do you continue to elevate yourself in terms of to separate yourself from those, not just being a female rapper, but just being a rapper? I think of Rhapsody, for example, where she's made a lot of strides in terms of just being compared just to MC instead of what's the best female MC and the best male MC, and those separations.
Well, I'm honestly just trying to move out of those conversations altogether.
Right.
Not like rapper, period, because I do more than rap. And so the moment I'm associated with rapper, it's immediately the female rapper, and it's immediately these lists of people that I'm always looped in with, which is fine. It's just, it feels a little stifling and again, stagnant, because I know that I have a lot more to offer than just raps. Right. I'm a producer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a drummer, I'm a arranger, I sing, I have a jazz background, I have all these things. So at one point in my career, I just was rolling with it because people were so impressed with me as a rapper. So I'm like, okay, if this is an impressive thing and this is what's getting me through these certain doors for now, I'm gonna roll with it. I'll hop on drums every now and then. I'll rock with a band. But now I feel like as I've reached this point in my career, I'm just tired of being in certain conversations. Okay. Period. Because it's limiting, and the icons that I look up to who are very versatile don't get looped into male this or female that. They're just looked at as iconic musicians or artists. We don't look at Pharrell and call him a male MC. We don't look at Missy Elliott and call her a female MC. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we don't look at Stokely and completely disregard that he plays drums on his albums. So these are the type of Anderson .Paak, like these are the type of people that I would love to start being included in these conversations. And Fonte is a direct, linear perspective of that, because he was somebody I looked up to coming up as somebody who was respected in all spaces. He was seen as a rapper, but also was seen as a curator and a musician and a vocalist, So, the female air quote thing is definitely annoying, but just being called just strictly a rapper is hopefully I can start planting those nuggets more and more for people to start realizing, like, okay, she's she's like out of here. Like, we can't put her in any kind of box. And yeah, that's always what I've been striving for.
I like this. So I just got a couple more questions for you before I let you enjoy your afternoon. I want to ask, so in terms, you mentioned, production, and obviously you play instruments and all those things. I'm just curious, as a producer, how can you think back upon a great session that you had with a band or with an artist in which you really helped to form or to really help to realize that artist or that band's vision and really create something really beautiful, whereas maybe they were unsure about how they were going to approach this particular song, the arrangement, whatever that is, and maybe how that felt?
Well, as a producer, I haven't produced for other people yet. So That's something I would like to check, a box I would like to check off. And I'd like to look at myself as, aspiring to be more of a Quincy Jones brain, where, I can kind of orchestrate and put things together. Really, vocal production I've had a hand in helping a couple people, but I really just kind of produce for myself. So I haven't had that experience yet with other artists, but that's something that is a challenge that I would love to, that I look forward to hopefully doing, with presenting, certain production or working with someone in the studio and I'm behind the scenes. That would be a different lens for me, for sure.
Well, there we go. We put it out there in the atmosphere, so it's going to come true. It's going to come to fruition. So
yeah, that'd be fun.
So now I'm going to ask you, so this is it's going to be the last question. I want you to let folks know, of course, where they can stay in touch with you in terms of social media, website, all those things. But so as you're doing that, think of this. What's a question that you wish that somebody had asked you? A question that you wish somebody had asked you that you would have loved to have answered. So let folks know how they can stay in touch with you and follow what Lyric Jones has going on. And then what's the question you wish somebody had always asked you?
Well, everybody can find me at all things Lyric Jones. There's no K's or Z's or anything. It's just spelled LYRICJONES. The best place to find me is my website, thelyricjones.com. So THELYRICJONES. I think a lot of people fail to, especially kind of like people who've come into my hemisphere of quote unquote helping me. I would love for people to ask me what do I really want to do and how can I help you make your vision happen? You'd be surprised how many people ask that question, but they're waiting to respond with what they think.
Yes, indeed.
What they think they want for me to do. So I respond and say these things or what I feel, and it's just taken to an account of, okay, but I think you should do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So I would love for somebody to say, Lyric, what is your ultimate vision of this project or this show or whatever? And what do you need and how can I get it to you?
I hear that.
That's the dream for anybody, right? Like,
yeah.
What do you need? How can I give it to you? And think about it, like the Beyoncés of the world and Kanye West or whomever, that's the level that they're at. It's like, this is what I want to do. Provide me the resources. Yeah. So I would love to get to that point where I can just use whatever my vision is as a canvas and just paint. And nobody give me back talk. Nobody give me all their opinions. Just let me do me and create. like without any restrictions, without lack of resource. I would love to experience that for once. It'd be
right.
great.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. So this has been the one and only Lyric Jones here on Microphone Masters.